Happy Sunday. It's been a couple weeks since I did the last podcast. That is because good things are coming, great things are coming, amazing things are coming. We are hard at work, diligently behind the scenes. Um, my team and I, myself, Nat, Christine, and Anna. And we are revamping a lot of our programs on the back end. So that causes for me to sometimes miss a couple episodes here and there when it comes down to the podcast. But nevertheless, we are here. A lot of good things are in motion. If you're listening to this, this is being recorded on Sunday, March 30th. If you're listening to this, make sure that you send a special shout out to our team member, Anna. Most of you who may be new to the community may not be familiar with her since she was here on the very earlier stages of Here Nor There. And but she's in Thailand, and unless you've been under a rock, Thailand had a very rare and significant earthquake. So please reach out to her or just leave a comment on her last post and just send her positive energy. That's a scary thing to be in. That's one reason why I was a little bit hesitant as a child to think about living in California as an adult because of the earthquakes. And people in California are probably like, we haven't had an earthquake in 25 years, but living here on the East Coast and the South, they pretty much made everything seem like you don't want to be in New York because it's dangerous and it's cold. You don't want to be in Florida because it's hurricanes. You don't want to be in California because it's earthquakes. So just stay here in the South. The South is so boring. There's nothing to do down here but eat and watch TV. But nevertheless, it is home. It is my origin. So it has its upsides. I think the humor. I think we're very funny in the South, but we got funny and we got very delicious, unhealthy food. So, but nevertheless, please reach out to her and just let her know that you're thinking about her and send her best energy. Unlearning. That's what the last episode was about. But let me take a step back and talk about the money episode. That episode is doing surprisingly well. I am an analytics freak. I'm always looking at how things are doing, how people are responding, because it's a little bit more than just the message, just the artwork. I like to see how my artwork is affecting the masses because that's what I did for the last 14 years. I was a interactive designer. So my artwork was very important to the whole process, the user flow process. Whenever you flew on Delta, if anybody's ever flown on Delta, you've interacted with my work. One of the last large clients that I had was Delta Airlines. So design is very important to me because my designs actually influenced how well a client did. When I worked on clients like Coca-Cola, when I worked on clients like Chick-fil-A, when I worked on clients like Home Depot, one of my old clients was actually Oshkosh B'gosh. They go by Carter's. I think the parent company is Carter's. Baby clothes. That was one of the clients that I did not enjoy the most. It's just something about staring at baby models all day that was kind of, it just wasn't right. It didn't feel right. And I'm like, I don't like this. And it was a very interesting work environment. But I was only there for a couple months. But it was a challenge because, learning how to use the color palette, learning the type of art direction, the type of images to pick, things of that nature. For those of you who are been under a rock, I was a interactive web designer / graphic designer for the last 14 years. So art matters to me. Art matters to me. And I'm looking at analytics and I'm looking to see what's effective. And the money episode is extremely effective. It's actually the best performing episode that I have published since September of 2024. And I'm very proud of that episode because one thing that I pride myself on Here Nor There is that I specialize in relationships, not romantic relationships. Now, romantic relationships is how most of us have entered this space, including myself. I came across these laws because I was trying to get love, not money. But once you're here, it's time to get money because all of this is energy, And once you have your romantic life in order, Don't you want some money? Don't you want more energy to share with your significant other, to share with your family, to share with the offspring that you create from this significant relationship, specific relationship, rather? Don't you want that? So, manifestation, creative consciousness, all of this stuff is designed to create your reality, not just to create your love life. So, the money episode was very important to me because let's talk about something else, Let's talk about all the other things that matter and let's understand how that works. And now we're planting different seeds in our garden. We have our money tree, we got our love tree, we got our health tree. The health episode is coming eventually, but the health thing is more so probably going to be here just for the private community and for private coaching because that is important. Your love life can be in the greatest place ever. Your money could be in the greatest place ever. And if your health is not, none of that matters. But yet us as this generation of human beings, we don't put a lot of value on health until it is gone, until it is rock bottom. So check out the Vitality Subliminal. Make sure your health is on point. Make sure you listen to the Vitality Subliminal under the Classroom tab. But the money episode is very important because money is energy, and we shall treat it as such. And it's doing quite well. It's doing quite well. So back to the unlearning. Let me give you a quick example. So most of you know that I have a new camera. I've talked about it because pretty much it stalled out a lot of my production after the self-concept course in January. It stalled out a lot of my production going in February because my camera randomly broke down. Because my camera, it stalled a lot of my production because my camera randomly broke down. And now I have that camera sitting right here on my desk. It's fully repaired. It was under warranty, but I'm going to sell it because I ended up getting a new camera. Hallelujah. Alhamdulillah, And the new camera, I'm learning it and I think I'm finally mastering it. And with that being said, one thing that I've been learning is temperature, color balance, white balance, if you will, in the camera world. And why does this matter? Because if your colors are off, when your colors are off, when you're doing these YouTube videos and things of that nature, it'll affect the sharpness. It'll affect the overall mood. It'll just look weird, right? The thing about color balance here, I'm not going to get too technical here, but the thing about color balance is I learned it incorrectly the first time. There was an error in a YouTuber. I love this guy. He's a cinematographer, and he's a melanated gentleman just like myself. And he was describing how to set your color temperature for melanated skin. When I do work with Margarita for some of her content, she's fair skinned, so I can get away with certain things with her. But with me, if the light is too much exposed, if it's not in the correct order, I could look oily, I could look greasy or whatever. It's a little bit different shooting melanated skin. So he made an error in his video. He meant to say one thing and said another. And that is what I took with me for a year. So I misunderstood color temperature in cameras for over a year because of his mistake. Now, shout out to him. I caught the mistake before, but it was very hard to unlearn it. So that is a real world example of what's going on when you're having to unlearn something in this reality. When you first come into the manifestation realm and the first thing you land on is manifestation supposed to be instant. Get it in 3 days, get it in 96 hours, get it in 24 hours, manifest a text, manifest a apology. These things, this is the low hanging fruit that's there, and that might serve the majority of the population out there. You may come across somebody who's 18, 19 years old and they're not thinking about getting married, but they want that text from their crush or whatever. They're thinking about that. They're not thinking about the end. They should be, because even if you're younger, you should be thinking about a relationship. Nobody goes into a relationship saying this will be cool for 2 months. This will be cool for 2 weeks. Everybody's going into it thinking long term. Everybody's going into these unions thinking long term. Nobody's going in thinking, oh yeah, this will be cool for about, 2 weeks, maybe if you in college, maybe you like, okay, this will be a cool little summer fling or whatever, but that's in the movies. Nobody thinks that. The majority of people out there are not thinking about flings. You know what I'm saying? They're thinking about, oh, I like this person. I want to see how far this can go. Right. So you're coming across these text messages, nice to lock yourself in a room and manifest this. If you learn that first, it is going to be extremely difficult and cumbersome to unlearn it. Just as I did with something as simple as watching a YouTuber explain color theory. I learned it. I respected his content. I still respect it. But that one mistake caused me to have confusion for over a year, despite hearing the correct information after that. It's called confirmation bias. You are emotionally invested in something, whether it's information, whether it's a certain outcome, whether it's just the first way you learn something, and it's very hard to unlearn that. And even when you're presented with information that is countering that, information that is correct, it is hard to let go of the very first assumptions. This is also why a lot of people struggle with religion, or why they struggle with limiting beliefs, why they struggle with traumas and things of that nature when it surrounds money, love, and health from childhood. Because whatever you learn first from your caretakers, from your parents, from your grandparents, wherever those maternal and paternal figures came from, that's what you're stuck with. That's what you're stuck with for a while, until you come across these beautiful laws and you say, hey, I don't like my programming. We're not going to define whether it was wrong or right, but I don't like it. It doesn't serve me. So now I have to unlearn these things. I have to rewrite the program in order to get the life that I want. Unlearning is the most important skill of the 21st century. That's my opinion. If somebody came up to me and said, hey, what's the most important thing that I need to learn in this lifetime, in this era, in the 21st century, in 2025, I would say the ability to unlearn. Because to really have a successful life in this era, no matter what country you're in, you need to unlearn most of the things that you already learned. And it's going to serve you so well. It's going to serve you extremely well. But it's not easy. But hey, anything worthwhile is not easy, right? Anything worthwhile is reality. It's not always going to be easy. I mean, McDonald's is easy. That's, you just go get that. But learning how to cook a steak, that's not easy. But what's going to be more fulfilling? What's going to be more healthy? So moving forward in this community, as we grow, as we move into different programs, and as we evolve, we're always going to go for, I'm always going to push and teach and preach, go for the long-term results. The long-term results might not get you the results you want in 30 days. It might not turn your life around in 30 days, but the way that it can turn your life around in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, even however long it takes, will be far better than the results that you can get in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Unlearning. That is the word of the week here. So how do you start this unlearning process? How do you start the process? Patience at first. Going into it, being patient, knowing that you're going to have to be patient with yourself, because we sometimes get into this thinking that our thoughts are our enemy. I just want to change my thoughts. Why are my thoughts? I just change my thoughts, change my reality. But if you've been thinking a certain way for 20, 30, 40 years, a little bit of patience is going to get you a long way. It's going to take a second to wipe the slate clean. But once you're there, something beautiful starts to happen. You start to shift away from those beliefs that didn't really work for you. You're going to start looking at things objectively. Okay, this makes me comfortable. This is what I know. This is what all of the little YouTube videos or TikTok videos I saw in the very beginning, this is what all of them saying, but this has not worked for me. This has not worked. I have to change it. I have to try something different. This isn't working. But there is a nuance. This isn't working. Now, if you try something 1,000 times and it didn't work, that's just not going to work. But sometimes the nuance is this: it's working. It's just not working as fast as you want it to, because what you want takes time. What you want takes time. Big things take time. 100 days for a sunflower to grow. Shout out to one of our members who recently started growing sunflowers to understand this concept subconsciously. It takes 2 years for a rose to grow. It takes 9 months for a human being to grow. Great things take time, you know? So the nuance is finding that balance in between it's not working versus patience. And when you're looking at patience, when you're choosing patience, what you're going to do is you just look for increments of progress. And that is going to be your emotional state. How do I feel today? Right? If you start feeling better, you're going to start making better decisions day to day, little by little. The law of accumulation is your friend. Those little by little incremental slow steps is what's going to get you out of anything that you don't like, any reality that you are not finding favorable. It's going to get you out of that because it's a compounding effect. It starts off extremely slow in the beginning, but it compounds. And then everybody says this, everybody who has had these flips, these changes in their reality, whether they're clients of mine or whether it's me myself in my own testimony, it seemed like nothing was happening until it happened. But when I look back at it, it was a snowball effect. Little incremental progress, 1% here, 5% here. Then before you know it, you wake up and reality is damn near completely different. But when you look back at it, those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% are adding up each day. When you get to a month, you're 40% different. You're 55% different. And then you look up and you're like, oh, everything just changed. No, it was changing slowly in the background. Just like a plant growing in the ground, just like your human body when you're losing weight or when you're gaining muscle. It just doesn't poof, boom. It just doesn't pop up on you overnight. It's incremental. You hit the gym, you go to sleep, you wake up, you eat, you hit the gym, you go to sleep, you wake up. And every day it's a little bit 1% better. And every day is 1% better. That's how this all works. And that's how you want it to work. Because if you turn around and get it the next day, can you really keep it? Here nor there, Shaun Hines is all about sustainability. Who wants to manifest something just to lose it? Going back to the very beginning of this episode, who wants to manifest a crush in, an admirer in, a specific person in, a lover, a ex, and then lose them 2 weeks later, or lose them 2 months later, or lose them 2 years later? No, we're going for long-term results because that is where fulfillment lies. So hopefully this motivated you today. You know what? I'm not going to say hopefully. It did. I am grateful that this motivated you today. For those of you who have had my coaching services before, I shut it down back in December because we revamped that whole bad boy. Me, Nat, and Christine have been working in the background and revamped this entire program. So we are opening the 6-week one-on-one mentorship, and to transform fully, sometimes you need that extra little bit of oomph, that extra little bit of support. So this is going to be more of a hands-on approach, more of a mentorship for those of you that are interested, and we'll get you in there. And we'll, of course, give precedence to our members who are already within our school community. So thank you all for a wonderful 2025 so far. I'm really, really happy with where the channel is going this year because I feel like we're getting into a better, separating from the law of assumption community, which I am not quite fond of lately because it's become a little bit too dogmatic and it becomes a little too much like a religion where we are learning to trust the power within ourselves, not to put the power in one person, in one way of thinking, or one specific doctrine. There are multiple paths to enlightenment. There are multiple paths to fulfillment. And we're going to continue to guide you down those correct paths. So thank you all for your attention and your support. You're neither here nor there. Thank you for your time.